Hi, everybody. First of all, just to make sure you can hear me well, right? Um, okay. Again, back to my yeah. Hi, everybody. I am still pretty kind of I haven't streamed in 6 months, so I've actually forgot a lot of things about how to do
Thing
Mooncast
is, you stream every week on Breadcast.
broadcast, but it's not the same thing. I mean, when I need it's totally different when I run my own stuff. But
You're
anyway,
just used to me doing all the dirty work.
exactly. So, how are you? I see Lotsu in the house. Hi, Lotsu. How are you recently? Uh, I am back in Vietnam. No intro cartoon. Yes, there's no intro cartoon because it's in our desktop. Back
It's gonna
home.
be a few weeks before that's back.
I miss my intro cartoon, man. I'm so happy that you remember that. Thank you so much. So I'm back in Vietnam finally, and we are in Hanoi dealing with some personal stuff. And we will back. Hopefully, we'll be back very soon. But yes, I am very happy to be back to Vietnam. And a witness of love. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you for the translation of your book. It took me 3 years to work on that, and I am very proud of that work. And I hope that you can check it out. And if if you have any contribution to the book, or if you find any typo or something, I would love to receive them all. So I can improve it in the next edition of the book. So you can send it to my email. What email should I send? Discourse.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, we would do this. Yeah. Again, if you find any, have any contribution,
Say
feedback, please send to this email, noncompletediscourse@gmail.com, and we will collect all of that and, improve that in our next edition of the book. Thank you so much in advance. All right. Some mooncast. All right. Oh my gosh. So you're asking to how to pronounce your friend's name? I guess it's Ngọc. It's Ngoc, not Gian. First of all, that's a name. It's a Vietnamese name Ngọc, and it means emerald. Or pearl. Well, that's like very beautiful name too. I also have a friend named Ngọc. Ngọc is a pretty common name in Vietnam. So it's Ngoc, and it's a dot tone, and you say the ng. The ng is all the way deep in your throat. So this is a kind of, what do you call it? A syllable or something that you do not have in English. That is why you have a hard time pronounce it. It's like nga, nga, nga. You put your tongue back into your mouth and then say it deep inside your throat. It's like the k in Vietnamese, or also in German. They have that kind of k, and it's like that. And that's it. Say it. You can try say it. EJ? Ngọc.
No.
Pretty
The
good.
way so my recommendation is
Mm.
wait, let me think of a word. Okay, so like sing on. So like okay, if you take in English, if you say sing, S-I-N-G, and then you say on.
Sing on.
Sing on.
Sing on.
But if you're actually speaking loud quickly, you go sing on.
Sing on.
And then just drop the C.
Nga.
So it's like sing
Yeah,
on.
it's nga right there.
On.
Sing on.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. Sing on. That's it.
But just drop the C, and then you have ngon, and then
Ngon.
you have
No. So Kenny Chingo asked, is it hot in Hanoi? Ho Chi Minh is super hot now. Yeah, lots of my friends said that Ho Chi Minh is very hot. Hanoi, it was, if you want, the air conditioner, the remote is down here. It was hot in the last week, but then in the last 3 days there was a thunderstorm, rainstorm in Thailand, and we got affected by it. So, I mean, it was rainy hard yesterday, kind of windy and kind of cold too. But it's getting back again, hot again. So again, Hanoi is a landlocked city. That is why it's pretty freaking hot and humid over here. There's only like a river, a red river, but it doesn't change much. It's hot too. Thank you, Kangaroo Cafe. Yes, yeah, we will try, I mean, the dancing park one night. The dancing park, is that the walking park in the Sword Lake? Yeah, I think that right. That must be it, right?
What? What's the question? What's the question?
No, we should go check out, like the walking street in Sword Lake.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
that's dancing street.
Yeah, yeah. I think that might be what it's about.
Yeah, yeah. I was reading Dalat is one of the 10 places in the world to retire. Yes, Dalat is a very cute little mountain town. It is getting very touristy, so you maybe you need to check it out first before you decide your entire retirement. But
Mhm.
the entire like Vietnam is pretty much good for your retirement. To be honest, everywhere is beautiful, and you like, and we have all kinds of what do you call it? Like we have the ocean, we have the mountain, we have a sand dunes, we have like like a mountain town which is like European kind of weather. Or you can, yeah, you can live in big cities, you can live in rural areas in middle of nowhere, you can even live in like the jungle if you want. But I mean, we have all kinds of options for you if you want to retire. Generally speaking, it's very affordable. Yeah, it's that first syllable that is really hard. Yeah, because I understand that because you do not have that in English. Something like close to it, but not exactly it. Like the first syllable. It's the last two letter of sing too. That is sing, sing. Yeah, exactly it. But yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, what about the book? Thank you so much. Oh, it's near Uncle Ho's place. Oh, I see. You check it out. The Dancing Street. It's funny how a lot of boomers will talk about how socialism is evil, but then move to a socialist country to retire. But hey, to them, we are not socialists. It is, like everything that Vietnam does good is because of capitalism. So,
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. Oh, shoot. Since the beginning, I've been watching your videos secretly. I'm a Trump supporting family. Ooh. And my parents would kill me if they find out I watch your channel. Oh my God, stay safe, comrades. Seriously, stay safe. Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, living in a a right wing family, how it would affect you. It's tiring. It is tiring. I am very lucky to to have like my family is extremely left wing in the sense that my dad is a hardcore. I usually say it in a funny way, like my dad is a hardcore tanky. It means that like he's a communist. He's just a tractor driver. He made the roads. He's like construction workers, but like he made roads for people. My mom, she thinks that she's apolitical because she doesn't usually talk about politics very much, but she is leftist, she is communist because of the all the education, and then living in society where you receive information like the correct information, and then you have the right, and also you have the right understanding of the world. And also I try so hard, me and my dad try so hard to educate our my mom about that too. And then she didn't know much about like the West at all, and I was the one who tried to educate her. And the fact is that like she really, both my parents and my older brother too, we respect each other a lot, and we actually listen to each other. So when we talk, discuss about that, they actually take my word for it, and I feel like they respect me a lot, and they listen to me, and they treat me like a grown up with a lot of knowledge and information, and they, I mean, it's a very healthy way in the sense of that. Antonio Oliva, been a long time. How are you recently? Hi. Thank you is a term of endearment. Yeah, most people I know hardly have any savings, and often there's considerable debt. On the contrary, most of the people that I know, I am just a working class Vietnamese people. I mean, not rich at all. And my friends also like that. They all live together in a room, a small room, to try to save some money. But even in that situation, most of the people that I know have a savings and they do not have a debt. And that is like the opposite situation in like, like it's so normal working class, as not rich, not from a rich family, because I know for sure, because I went to their families and I met their families. They're not rich, but then they have savings, and also they do not need to own a car, which is save a lot of money, because in Vietnam we have a great public transportation, and also if you like, we also like can afford a motorbike, which is a normal thing in Vietnam, is way cheaper. So yeah, it's just normal like that. Even when I made only 100, less than $150 in 2016, I made $150 a month, and I was living in Hanoi, in like a very crowded place in Hanoi, because I had to live there because our old companies, that we work at that time, and my roommates too, all around that we had to stay in that little apartment, it's the little old apartment built in the 80s. But then we lived together and we're happy, and I live well with $150. I mean, a month. It was like right around the minimum wage of Hanoi at that time. So imagine if you live in Washington, D.C., and you make the literal minimum wage of Washington, and you live there well, and you sometimes can go traveling, and you have a healthy food, and you don't need to own any big vehicles. There's public like city buses all everywhere. So the life of the Vietnamese world is just very totally different, and lots of people do not, because they don't have comprehensive viewpoints, and they talk about how poor Vietnam is and how rich like the USA is, and they only compare income. And that is a very childish way of understanding about the world. It's not just income alone that can tell anything. It is the comparison between income and cost of living. And that ratio in Vietnam is way better than in the USA. Like, yes, the USA, your salary is higher because because of your dollars, because everything is more expensive. But if you compare the cost of living with the income in Vietnam, and the cost of living income in the USA is way better to live in Vietnam, where you make the same kind of money, because the cost of living here is so affordable. Oh, thank you, MDR, for your super chat. Thanks for your book. We use its curriculum as the framework for our Marxist reading group. Great stuff, especially the annotations. Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, like as we said many times, it's the kind of book that you should not read alone. You should find somebody to read with, like a reading group, offline or online. But then again, you should always do it with your comrades, because we as individual, it is the best for us to do something together, to share our thought and understanding. And if we have any questions or we don't understand any part, we can just go ask our comrades for that, and you would have many interesting perspective learning together like that. And yeah, and if you cannot find anybody online or offline, you can just like email me, noncompetediscourse@gmail.com. I will put that banner again here, and give us question about the book, and we will try our best to answer your questions. Again, we might not be able to answer your your email or something right immediately, but we will try. Oh, you got the book but haven't started reading yet? I hope that you will enjoy it.
Banyanhouse.org/shop.
Banyanhouse slash the show here. Banyanhouse.org/shop. That is where you can get the book, and the ebook version is free. So yeah, there you go. Oh, I have so many chat. How much do state-owned enterprise in Vietnam trade with, state-owned enterprise in other socialist countries? It's easy. Like, for example, we did Cuba and Vietnam. We just directly do that. So for example, we and Laos, next to each other, and socialist friends, best friends. Yeah, so here's how it works in the Laos situation. There are state-owned company in Vietnam that run Vũng Áng deep sea port in the center of Vietnam. So they run an international deep sea port, and we work with Laos, and Laos also form a state-owned enterprise for the deep sea port. And then the two state-owned company join together, form into a new Viet-Lao deep sea port enterprise or something like that. But I don't know exactly their name, but it's called something Viet Lao enterprise. And they together they joined their director board, and then they came to Vietnam and work in that Vũng Áng deep sea port of Vietnam, and they built a port, an official international port with staff on and run it. And we planning to it's been running for a while now, but the scale will be improved way more in the next few years. And we trust each other so much that Lao will bring their stuff to that deep sea port and export it to the rest of the world, and we let them use. Actually, the Lao part of that company owns 60% of the port, and we only own 40%. That is how we gave our comrades the control of that port like that on our own land. That's how much just we have. The same thing when we trade to Cuba, we trade a lot of stuff. Like Cuba trade medicine and vaccines to Vietnam, and we trade agricultural products to Cuba. We just assign two state-owned companies to work together like that, and the money already come from the national budget or something like that. Yeah. All right. How much is rent over here? It depends. Like in Vietnam, if you make like my friends, each of them make about $1,000 a month, around from 700 to 1,000. Yeah. So they trying to live together. Three of them. I used to live with them. There was usually four of us, but then I moved out because I got engaged with EJ. And then now three of them live together, and they live in a room. It's pretty cute. They live in a room that costs them around 3 million a month for all three of them, so $1 million. So it means that, let's see, their rent, including internet and electricity and water, is about 1.5 million a month for one person, which is around a tenth of their salary. So that is they usually spend 10% of their salary for rent in Vietnam. That is why it's so affordable, and they still have some savings too. And also at the same time, about 90% of Vietnamese people own our own homes. Means that my friends has a home in their hometown with their parents, and have a a piece of rice farm in their hometown too, because we were all born in rural area of Vietnam. And as I said, every single Vietnamese who were born in rural area will receive a piece of land for free from the government. And that is it. Yes, it's not straight, right? Anyway.
It's not straight at all.
And yeah, so like they rent a room in Hanoi, and they are not homeless even if they don't have a home here anymore, because they still have a home at home with their parents. Yeah, so and they have a piece of rice farm, well, farm, just a normal farm with them if they ever decide to come back to Vietnam. Yeah, so only about 10% of Vietnamese do not own any homes. Yeah, I know about that primitive skills channel because I watch that channel too. He's an ethnic minority guy living in the north of Vietnam or something, and his video was so great, and I love that too. And that dude's quality of life is so much better than most Americans. And he's just selling occasional crops. Yeah, exactly. And that crops came from the farm that he received for free from the government, which is like, again, talking about the workers own the means of production. Actually, the farmers in Vietnam, we own our means of production. The rich farm. When people talk everything on Vietnam is because of capitalism, ask them to call an ambulance in the US. Oh my goodness, they don't even dare to think about it. When rent at $500 a month being considered very cheap, the difference is obvious, or should be. Yeah, $500 a month in Vietnam, you can have a whole like pension house over here. Jeez, it's a lot of money. Checking the chat right now. I mean, is it pretty cold? Can you just put up the temperature a little bit? Thank you. Oh, Brazilian comrade, hey! I have a good news for you that there's some an organization that is working with us to translate the book into Portuguese. So yeah, very excited. What language do the board of directors in Vietnam speak? Bilingual or one of the two languages? It is a fact that Lao comrades they speak Vietnamese so freaking well. It was so well that lots of Vietnamese didn't even believe that they Laosian. That is true, like so Vietnamese is very common in Laos, and I think it mostly speak, interchangeable Vietnamese or Laosian. Not I know English is not very much involved in this, except some documents, official documents or something. But yeah, Vietnamese or Laos, yeah. Oh, what are my some criticisms that I have with my government? Yes, yeah, I do have a lot. Like first of all, corruption. Oh my goodness! This morning I just heard a radio outside some house next to our hotel right now, listening to like talking about how corrupted and how like corruption is strong in Vietnam, and how like actual like the criminals work with police in Vietnam, like work with police in Vietnam and being corrupted, and how we need to address that and to deal with that. How like administration work is a pain in the butt because it's just a simple request, but we need to fill a lot of like paperwork to have that kind of document, which is very annoying. So administration is pain in the butt, and also we have a lot of pollution, especially in big cities like in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. I was fine when I was in Vietnam or in the USA because I we live in a rural area, so it was not that bad. But then I came back to Hanoi, the second biggest city of Vietnam, and yesterday my eyes got like sore and hurt, like acid in my eyes because of the pollution. It's really bad, man. You need to do something about that. And the sea pollution too. Maybe people keep throwing trash in the ocean. God damn, it's bad. What else? Uh, our healthcare is not free yet. It's affordable, but it's not free yet. And what we want is free healthcare for everybody. Now it's just only free healthcare for poor people, and we want free healthcare for everybody. So yeah, I have a lot of criticisms for Vietnam. Also, at the same time, my criticism is that we do not crack hard on, corrupted and so anti-communist Vietnamese who try to sabotage our country. It's really annoying to see those people just spread lies and misinformation everywhere, and the government just go and, I mean, they didn't do enough to put down those people. Oh my gosh, I live in America and pay about 50% ish of my take home income for rent. That is insane. Yes, that is uh, compared to Vietnam standard, that is wow. No, it's not like that in Vietnam. It's like a tenth, maybe the most is like 20%. Nobody spend more than that. I wonder if he was given that land is really big. Yes, man, he was ethnic minority born in that rural area. The piece of land that he received is bigger than mine. Because also again, the size of the piece of land that you receive for free from the government depends on the land that they have in that rural area. So that's not a singular universal standard in Vietnam. It depends. Like so, if this kind of rural area they has a lot of land and they don't have enough farmer, one farmer would have a lot of land, and then the more crowded one they will have a less land. So yeah, I have the medium size, and he must have the big one. And also, I always can claim more, but my obligation is that I have to make it productive. Means that I have to make grow something from it, and if I leave a piece of land for too long without growing anything on it, from 5 to 10 years the government will take it back. So yeah, that is how it works in Vietnam. And that is why this system that we've been talking about is very different from the system in the USA, where you have to, but you don't have anything for free back from the government at all. I mean, it's really very different. So lots of people they don't understand that. They don't understand that, and they go back and attack me and call it Vietnamese bourgeois. I am a bourgeoisie because I have a piece of land for free from the government, and everybody born in the same rural area have that. I don't get it. I mean, incoherent attack from the lack of understanding, from the ignorance coming from the West. Very annoying and funny at the same time. That me feels like the whole point of winning the resistance war against the USA and then French and the whole point of having a land reform is that to give land back to the people who live on it. It's just that to give the land back to the farmers. So that's simple like that. I mean, that is the thing that you are fighting for. That's the thing that lots of people are fighting for in the whole world. Like Bill Gates, right now, he's the biggest landowner in the USA, even though he's not a fucking farmer. And that is like hard to think about in Vietnam. That is why I've been calling for land back in the USA. Give the land back to indigenous people. Give land back to people who actually live on that land and need that land to survive. It is way better for the food security in the country. It is way better for the nature, and it's way better for the society because people you have a less like struggling people like houses people in the USA, but capitalism is just so strong over there. Wait a minute, $2,500 for 2 bedrooms in Brooklyn. Holy smokes, $2,500. You can have, oh my gosh, you can have how many penthouses in Vietnam? Oh, there's a Mexican comrade. Hi there. Thank you so much for your word about the book. Thank you. Yeah, everyone in the world should have health. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Healthcare should be a human right. It is a human right. So when I talk about the anti-communist Vietnamese who literally sabotaging the country and receiving money from overseas organizations like the CIA source, yeah, and in the government, because because we couldn't do much about that, because again we are still being heavily watched by the West. For example, like by Human Rights Watch, by USAID, USAID, and a lot of other like Radio Free Asia. So like we cannot, crack down really, really hard on them because they would claim those people to be freedom fighters or something like that. And that is very painful for me to see those people just go around and receive tons of money from those groups and go sabotaging the country, spread fake information and lies to stir hatred amongst our own people, which is very frustrating. And hopefully in the future we will be more open about it, like not scared of the West anymore. Because they try to stir up, color revolution in Vietnam, and then when we do something with them, when they claim Vietnam of being authoritarian, and then arrest freedom fighters, bullshit. In Brazil, I also pay 50% of my income in rent. People say that you shouldn't pay more than a third of your income in rent. And it blows my mind to know how little you guys spend on rent in Vietnam. Yeah. Chimamadu, thank you so much for the super chat. I work more than 50 hours per week. However, I cannot afford to rent my own apartment, my one apartment. I know. I know. That is why I'm trying to, show you a different possible society that you can live in. It's not perfectly, I said. I have many criticisms for the government of Vietnam, and we acknowledge all of that, and we need to, fix all of that. But again, it's still a better society to live in, generally speaking. Hey, I've used your videos to help with an essay I need to write for class. Thank you for doing that. You do. Oh, finding good info in Vietnam is really difficult in the US. Oh, I am very happy that I can help you somehow. And yeah, and also you can check the description of my videos to see all the sources for my videos, and you can just take them. And if you find any good idea, just take them. I don't believe in copyright. You like any ideas? Take it. Turn them into yours. I don't care. When they are saying peace, bread, and land. Yeah, in Vietnam is peace, rice, and land. Oh my gosh, your current rent is $1,200. It's crazy. Do we have homeless people in Vietnam? Yes, we do. That is a sad fact. We do have. It's not much because 90% of Vietnamese people own our own home, so there's still 10% to work. Okay, to improve. But yes, we still do have some, not much, but there are homeless people in Vietnam, and they mostly live in big cities like in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. That is the two main cities that have it. In my hometown, I don't see any homeless people, no, but in big cities there are, because also there's a lot of issues in big cities, and especially in Ho Chi Minh City, the most capitalistic city in Vietnam there is. And we are trying so hard to help them, like we have a like help center for homeless people and give them health care, and then if they have a hometown or something, we trying to bring them back to hometown and try to find a job for them. But yeah, that's still a big problem. Like Ho Chi Minh City, a city of like 10 to 14 million people at one time, is, yeah, and also it's a more capitalistic, so there's still problems there. The land in the US need to be nationalized and to get rid of the landlords and housing market. Housing is a human rights along with healthcare, food, and water. Exactly. And here's the thing too, a lot of people, when I talk about, land back and how people should have, like give the land back to indigenous people and in the black people, something like that, because they were the one who worked this land, who feed the country. And lots of the USians, they scared of that, and they, they feel like personal attacked. They feel offended because I just said, like, yeah, you should give the land back to these people because they deserve it too. And they felt like I personally attacked them, and it is really hard to talk to them because they have, the emotion shield like that, and they refuse to hear, my further explanation. What the thing that I want them to understand is that we communists, leftists, when we talk about land back, we are not talking about taking your personal homes and give it to, indigenous people or to homeless people. We're not talking about that, because like your home is nothing. We are talking about the 1% of people who own most land, which is Jeff Bezos, which is Mark Zuckerberg, which is Bill Gates and Elon Musk. People who own tons of land without using it. We're talking about those people. We're not talking about your own freaking personal home that you don't even own. That is the banks who own your house. Jesus, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, again, Bill Gates, who owned the most farmland in the USA, and he's not a freaking farmer. Mark Zuckerberg, who owned many islands in Hawaii. Meanwhile, tons or hundreds of thousands of Hawaiians are actually homeless. Talking about Jeff Bezos, lots of billionaires out there who own a bunch of lands without using them all. What we said about land back is take those land back, unused land back, and redistribute that to indigenous people, to black people, to homeless people. All these people, they deserve a land to survive on. So, and these indoctrinated USians, since they do not have a systemic analysis of their system, when we talk about land back, they do not think about what actually we meant. They never ask. They never ask us what we meant when they said land back. They just assumed, and they assumed totally wrongly. They assume that we want to take the home that they owned, that actually not owned by them, is owned by the bank. After they die, or if they cannot pay the debt back, the banks will take the home back. They think that we mean that. Like, no, nobody cares about your own homes. No, we're talking about like the vast piece of land owned by rich capitalists, like billionaires. Those are enough for homeless people, for indigenous people to survive on. I mean, the indoctrination is so strong, and those people, because they are so deep in the propaganda and the indoctrination, that instead of going and ask us in good faith and do not assume anything first, hey, what do you mean when you say land back? I want to learn more about that. Who's you going to take the land from, and who's you going to give the land to? No, they don't. They assume. They just assume the worst possible, meaning of that, and then they just stick into it. And even when we explain to them, they just refuse to listen. And also at the same time too, here's the thing that I observe since my trip in the USA for the last 5 months. And here's the thing. So we Vietnamese people, when we talk about the problems that Vietnam has, such as corruption, as I said, pollution, administration bad, and we still have a 10% of people who do not own any homes in Vietnam. Even my dad is a hardcore tanky. He supports the status quo, which is the Communist Party of Vietnam. And when I talk to my father about the problems that Vietnam have, we just talk about it freely, and we admit like, yeah, there's a problem, there's corruption in Vietnam. We need to acknowledge it, and we need to fix it. It's a very healthy conversation to have with normal Vietnamese people, not just normal, even the hardcore tanky Vietnamese. That yeah, we do have this problem. That's obvious. We're not perfect, and we need to address that. And we hope that the government will fix it, and we want the government to fix it. But then in the USA. Whatever thing that we criticize the USA, the capitalist system, people, just normal people, take it as a personal attack. When I talk about, hey, the USA, it sucks because it doesn't have street food, or the USA, it doesn't have public transportation, people immediately take it like personal attack, like they like mad, they react by their emotion as if I somehow offend them. And I was shocked. I was like, isn't that obvious that first of all, you do not have a public transportation and it's not good for majority of people because it is very expensive to own a car and it takes you a lot of time to go to your workplace or to go for grocery instead of like driving 30 to an hour to a grocery store. Why don't you just enjoy the ride, the ride on the buses or the metro or subways? You can enjoy that, take a nap or something, and then you go there and you go back home. You don't have to pay for the gas and pay for the time for driving. And so street food, yeah, it's true that you do not have street food in America. It is true compared to Vietnam that you cannot have an affordable street food. Like you cannot just go in a corner of your street and to buy like a $2 sandwich. It's impossible. And then yeah, it is my criticism of the USA, and it's obvious, and I am not even lying about it. But then people just take it very personal. I mean, it's really frustrated. Don't I didn't mean to attack them personally, and I never want to. And I just state a fact. Like here is a problem that your country has, and you need to acknowledge that, and maybe you need to fix it. I mean, no, they don't, because they somehow they internalize the USA to their personal pride or something like America is great, the greatness of America, and whatever kind of attack into how great America is, it is a personal attack. Like, ooh, the indoctrination is very strong. Like they're like, yeah, they're generally speaking Vietnamese people. We do not consider Vietnam is a great country. We know that we are not perfect. We love our country when it's not perfect. We know that we want to fix it. But then any attack against Vietnam, if it's the truth, we acknowledge it. We agree with that, and we want to fix it. We don't react emotionally with that. Oh man, it's so crazy that like, wow. It's American exceptionalism. They don't like being told they are not exceptional. It's a national religion. True. Like, dude, you know that your country is not perfect, right? You know that there's a lot of problems in your country, right? And you know that I'm telling the truth, right? That you do not have a good public transportation. But no, they can't accept that. They can't see that. Maybe deep inside their mind, they know that. But then they have a like cognitive dissonance that they cannot criticize that because somehow it hurts them. I mean, don't they think that the feeling of, like when somebody pointed out the truth about your country and the truth is not beautiful, it's an ugly truth, and you take it personally, don't think that's a problem? You need to work on that, man. Thank you so much for super chat random. Are you willing to react to a video from European perspective about how Americans misunderstand public healthcare? It's about 11 minutes long. You can send me the link, and I will watch it and I will decide, because I am actually not the kind of person who usually do a react video something about something cold. Or I mean, I only do it if I think that it's a good education for my comrades. But I would love to check out that video to see how people talk about it. Yes, well, please send the email to the link to the non-compete Discord at gmail.com. Thank you so much, and I will check out that video that you're talking about. John, super sticker. I need to check that. Let's see if I can find the silver sticker or not, because StreamYard, it is not good place to check sticker at all because they don't show it. Super sticker, that is a green pear giving me a thumbs up. Nice. Thank you so much. Hanoi, are there indigenous people in Vietnam that they suffer genocide processes like capitalist countries? Okay, this is a very interesting question. As I said many times, people do not. People usually forget that Vietnamese people are indigenous to our land. So the entire population of Vietnamese people with 54 different ethnic minorities, we are all indigenous to this land. Like my people, the people living in my village, my family, we've been living in the district, for at least 6,000 of years. So because we found, there's the relic in it, and we found, like bunch of stuff that we made like in from bronze area, something like that, and it's just like right in my hometown. So yes, Vietnamese people, we are indigenous in our own land. And yeah, there's no genocide like that in the USA because we are not a settler country. We are indigenous Vietnamese living in our land, and we are in charge of our own country. So another, I want to elaborate more about how different Vietnam is compared to the USA, the settler nation. Right. So in Vietnam, we have 54 ethnics. All right, 54 ethnic minorities in Vietnam, and my ethnic is Kinh, which is the most with the highest population. Yeah. So usually we don't call ourselves minority, we call ourselves an ethnic. And my ethnic is Kinh in Vietnam. And in our national ID, there's always a line of what ethnic are you? And I wrote down Kinh, and there are 53 more in the list. So here's the thing. So in Vietnam, we are Vietnamese. We are all Vietnamese, but we acknowledge that there are many ethnic minorities in Vietnam. In totally we have 54 with different languages, different culture. And what the government do in Vietnam is this: first, in our official laws and constitution, we officially acknowledge different ethnics in Vietnam, and we protect the languages and we protect the culture of all ethnics in Vietnam, right? And by that we have a laws for people to encourage people to keep their languages and to practice their culture. And anyone who born in rural area will be distributed a piece of farmland that they can survive on. And also at the same time, for ethnic minorities who live in like the rural area on the mountains of Vietnam, we gave the land to ethnic minority and like ask them to take care of the land. That is why Vietnam right now is the highest country with the most forestation in Asia. 56% of our country is covered in forest and jungle, which is very different, the highest in Asia. All right, the highest, or one of the highest, which is 56%. More than half our country is covered in jungle, and most of it is because of we gave the land, we gave the control of the land to people who live in the mountain, and they maintain the land like that because they are the one who know exactly what to do with the land. That is very good like that. So again, the languages and the cultures of different ethnics in Vietnam are protected by our laws, by our constitution, and they are practicing it. And the government even give the national budget to different ethnic groups in all over Vietnam to to maintain their culture and build we kept building their houses but in their own style. That is a funny part like that. We have those people, poor people, to have a house, to have a roof to survive on, but we build it in their own style, in their own traditional style, so they can keep their own culture. That is very different. So because of that, so I live in that kind of society, right? At the same time too, there's a very strong protection on the land owned by ethnic minorities in Vietnam, such as I am King. So when I got I receive a piece of land, I can sell it to somebody. I can sell the usage right to different farmer in my village, like that. But if the government gave that land to an ethnic minority Vietnamese, it's gonna like they can only resell that users right of that land after 10 years they already own it. So that is how to protect ethnic minority and to make sure that they have that land to live on for at least 10 years before they sell the users right of that land to different people. That is a way to protect them, because because of a lot of reasons like that. But yeah, it is harder for ethnic minorities of Vietnam. It is harder for other people to buy land from ethnic minority of Vietnam because the land is protected by them, all right, by the government, protected, so it's must use by them first. Another thing is that, like, for example, when this is true written in the law, that if a person who is a king like me, like king, and then an ethnic minority person apply for one same job, like a job work for the government, and all of our skills the same, experience the same, but because that person is ethnic minority, they will be chosen. They will pass interview and I will fail because I am not an ethnic minority. That is how we protect our ethnic minorities like that. So second is that, like, we have the minimum ratio of ethnic minority representatives in our National Assembly. So about 15% of our population is ethnic minorities, but actually they are nearly 18% of representatives in our National Assembly is ethnic minority, which is the ratio of representative of ethnic minorities in the National Assembly of Vietnam is higher than the actual ratio of the population of the ethnic minority in Vietnam. That is how it works here. That is how we're trying to protect, the language and the culture, and try to make sure that ethnic minorities in Vietnam have a voice. So a while ago, I asked EJ a very ding dong question, a very naive of me. I asked EJ that, hey EJ, do you have any something like in the US where like the government official recognize the different ethnics in the USA and try to protect their languages and their culture? And then he just laugh in sadness. So there's nothing like that. And at that moment I realized that my question was very ding dong. And I realized that yes, many of my Hawaiian comrades are fighting so hard to just speak their own language, because the USA is generally doing a cultural genocide against Hawaiian right now, that Hawaiians are not allowed to speak their language or practice their culture. Their culture is getting erased. And also, again, a lot of other ethnics in the USA being destroyed too. And at the same time, indigenous people, they put them in reservation, which is a horrible way to do that. And yeah, it's just nothing like that, say. And I was like, yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, I was too naive about the level of evilness in the USA. Yeah, they've done a cultural genocide to all natives since they have had the chance. Exactly. It's opposite to Vietnam. It's opposite to Vietnam. When, I just explained to you everything like that. This question, you can go also ask Chile the same thing. Why, like, we have a border, with the coastline, and Cambodia and Laos like have a less, like, I mean, it's geography. I don't know. It's like thing that had been happening a few thousand of years from like feudalist time with the kings and shit. I don't know. Same thing. It's like, go ask Chile why the country is so long. I don't know. And you can go also ask the USA why the country is so big. Why they own this land. They own a massive, like half of North America, and so they own Alaska, which is there's nothing related to them at all. I mean, yeah. Oh, cool. This is the most important bugs in Vietnam. Bees, ladybugs. Bees and ladybugs. I don't know what is, I cannot pick one, but like bees and ladybugs, so important because, bees, they have, like to make flower to fruit, and the ladybugs, they eat, like bad other kind of bugs to protect plants. So for example, in Vietnam, we even have to, when we grow like vegetable or something in our own garden, rooftop garden or something, we need to buy a bag full of ladybugs and put those in our garden. So it's, you're gonna have a healthy plant. C place. When you translated the book, did you speak to the original authors? The book was written by, made by the Ministry of Education and Training in Vietnam. And then like written by a bunch of philosophers in different university. No, I did not speak to the original authors, sadly, because they all high up in the military of training and education, and it's public use. So actually we don't need to. The book is public use for all the students in Vietnam, and it's like the online version is all everywhere on the internet, like posted by universities everywhere. So yeah, but I want to speak to one of the authors, so it would be cool. It's a great lesson to learn how Ho Chi Minh treated the lumpen proletariat in Vietnam as compared to Marx's views on the lumpen proletariat in his time, and they accuse MLs of being dogmatic. True, true. Wait a minute. The super oh, here. Where can I get those blue diamond earrings you have in some videos? Also, you say many people view public transit as poor people method of transport. Very sad. Exactly. I don't. Yeah, I don't understand why you think public transportation is for the poor. How indoctrinated you must be to actually believe in that. No, public transportation is for every fucking body. It's not for just the poor. It's just like the poor is going to benefit it a lot from it, but yeah, us all too. And even though if you do not like public transportation and you love driving your own car somehow, but yes, you still benefit from public transportation because like, don't you want to have less cars on the street to compete with you? Don't you want to be just you alone in the road? Yeah, encourage other people to get the freaking public transportation so you can be the king on the road. I don't get it. They benefit from public transportation, but then they mock on people for using that, and then they want everybody to drive cars. Like, what's wrong with you? If you want to drive car, you do not have other people to drive cars too, because like you're gonna be too crowded, traffic jam and shit like that. No, the blue earrings, diamond earring, I got it from a site from AliExpress.
Diamond earrings.
You know the blue diamond in that purple box that I have.
Diamond earrings.
No, like diamond shape.
Yeah. They're diamond shaped.
I bought that pair for like $1 for a whole $1, and I ordered it directly from China. So it is great. We like located right next to China, and the two websites, like shopping sites of Vietnam and China, like integrated with each other. And actually, I can go to like a website in Vietnam such as like Shopee. It's like Amazon in Vietnam, and I can order directly from China because the Chinese restaurant also integrated with that Vietnamese Amazon. And then I just like officially buy stuff from that, and they deliver to Vietnam. And can you believe this? It's so freaking amazing. The delivery fee from China to Vietnam is 15 cents. Oh, No. It's a 15,000 dong, which is around 50 cents. So to deliver something directly all the way from China to Vietnam is 50 cents, half of a dollar. Amazing. And I bought that whole pair for a dollar. I definitely wasn't trying to insinuate you stole it. It was just curious to see if they had anything to say about it. I just got a copy in the mail today and have been loving it. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I just, for your information, I rather give more than you need just in case you ask. But yeah, I would love to speak to one of them. They made it really much high up. Oh, also at the same time, there's style in Vietnam that we do not give like personal information of like professor or philosophers in Vietnam because we want to protect their own like personal life or something like that. So usually if we want to do anything, email the Gmail of the whole entire Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Training, which is they famous for never checking the email. I did send them an email a long time ago, and 3 years later now they still haven't answered yet. So great system there I'm talking about. Like 50 cents, half of a dollar. Delivery fee from China to Vietnam. Haha. Has anyone had the books shipped to the UK yet? It's supposed to work. Actually, do you know any comrades in the UK received the book yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, the shipping is international shipping is very unpredictable.
Yes.
Like it could take anywhere from
2 weeks to like 2 months.
Sometimes it gets as quickly as like a week. Sometimes it takes like a month.
Yeah.
It's very unpredictable.
Very unpredictable. Yeah.
But we definitely have had comrades in the UK receive the book, yes.
Yeah, we had comrades in the UK who received the book. And the delivery time is unpredictable. It's usually from a week to a month, even more than that, a month and a half.
I don't think it's taken a month and a half, has it?
Somewhere in Europe, like Slovakia.
I don't know. Usually it takes about 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's usually.
Actually, I'm processing international orders right now.
Oh, good.
So if
Good.
you ordered an international book, if you ordered a book internationally in the last couple days, I'm working on your order right now.
Oh, they're asking about the proletarian piety. Hiếu, that is how we say in Vietnamese. Is hiếu. Hiếu is her E-A-U hiếu, uptone. So that's how we say that word.
No one's gonna know what E-A-U means. H-I-E-U.
Oh yeah, I forgot what. I use Vietnamese pronunciation for that. H-I-E-U, Hiếu. It's like Hugh, your name Hugh in English. Hugh, it's Hiếu. Kind of.
I wouldn't say that though.
You shut up.
Just say it.
Vietnamese Proletarian Party, that concept used in Vietnamese revolution is so enlightened and yeah, that is one of the very important contribution of Ho Chi Minh to the Marxism-Leninism in Vietnam.
Isn't that in the book?
It is in the book. That's why they asked about it.
Why don't you read the section in the book?
Oh, look for it for me. Huh?
Where is the book? The paper book.
In that corner, maybe.
I don't see it. You lost it.
Nah, there. Heel. No, it's not he yogurt. Heel. I don't even know how to teach you. I am desperately searching for those earrings. I'm sorry. AliExpress. You can buy it from USA, right? Yeah, AliExpress is international shipping site of Alibaba from China in the world. So go AliExpress and you search for like blue diamond shaped earrings, something like that. Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, and the shipping of your book with me is $15. Basically, we after like a month, over a month struggling, we finally found a new
The
way.
deal was we've been trying to get this one printer to print the book for us, which allows us to ship it a lot cheaper internationally, and we finally got that.
Yeah.
So that's why we've been able to drop the price.
Yeah. We found a new printer that could do it better with cheaper price. That was why. Oh, thank you so much, So Bunny. Wishing you the best, Conrad. We're approaching the new era as collective biotech leftists and embrace supported more here. I mean, best wishes for you. Good luck. I know that many of you are, fighting a lot of hardship right now. And again, my one thing that I want to tell you is the belief of Vietnamese people is that you must survive to fight another day. That is very important. Do not be adventurous. Do not risk your life. All right? You always think about how you must survive to fight another day. And that is very important. That is how we won the wars, all kind of wars, because we Vietnamese people, we will sacrifice everything for our liberation and freedom. But again, we will not fight any fight that we don't know that we would win or not. So again, the advice from Great General Võ Nguyên Giáp: only pick a fight where you know that you will win, or else don't do it. And always survive to fight another day. Which is, we Vietnamese people, we are very practical. We look down on adventurous people. We look down on people who try to act like a hero and risk their life for some ding dong cause. You also always need to remember, you only fight if you know that you will win. And if you're not sure about that, don't fight. Keep preparing. And remember to survive to fight another day. I'm telling you that because I know that it's very dangerous in the USA right now with all the mass shootings, the fascist rallies and fascist uprising, and also the threat and the coming from the government, and all the like literal genocide is going on right now against queer community. Like Texas and Florida, they keep passing new laws that literally they put death sentence on queer community. It is very dangerous. So yeah, please stay safe. All right. Again, it's talking about the proletarian piety, Hiếu in Vietnamese, a contribution of Ho Chi Minh to Marxism Leninism. So again, here it is excerpt from the book that talk about this, and I will read that to you. All right. Where is it? Okay. Here. First of all, you need to have, again, historical and comprehensive viewpoint about this topic. Why did Ho Chi Minh come up with the idea of proletarian piety? Here is why. Listen to this carefully. I am doing this very slowly too. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, millions of Vietnamese people were forced to leave their homes in rural farmland to work for plantations and factories which were owned by French colonialists. These workers were functionally enslaved, being regularly physically abused by colonial masters, barred from any education whatsoever, and receiving only the bare minimum to survive. And as a result, Under French colonial rule, about 90% of Vietnamese were illiterate, and the French aimed to indoctrinate Vietnamese people into believing that they were inferior to the French. This is racism. The French colonialists also worked with the Vietnamese landlords to exploit peasants in rural areas. Those peasants received barely enough to survive, and like the plantation slaves, they were, prohibited from receiving education. Because Vietnamese peasants and colonial slaves composed the majority of workers while being so severely oppressed and living in conditions of such abject poverty, it was difficult to fully distinguish between the proletariat and the lumpen proletariat in Vietnam during the colonial era. Yes, we were so oppressed, it was so miserable that the proletariat and the lumpen proletariat like very much aligned with each other. It was so like so much misery at that time. During this time, Ho Chi Minh and other Vietnamese communists developed the philosophy of proletarian piety. The word piety here is a translation of the Vietnamese word hiếu, which originally comes from the Confucianist philosophy of filial piety. Filial piety demanded children to deeply respect, honor, and obey their parents. Through the concept of proletarian piety, Ho Chi Minh adapted this concept to proletarian revolution, calling for communists to deeply love, respect, and tirelessly serve the oppressed masses. So this philosophical concept sought to unite the proletariat, lumpen proletariat, and petty bourgeoisie into one united revolutionary class. So I mean, yeah. So a lot of Vietnamese people, so as I said many times before, Ho Chi Minh understand that the society of Vietnam at that time were separated into many classes: peasants, workers, like lumpen proletariat, petty bourgeois, also students, also the bourgeois, the landlord, and also the collaborators of Vietnam working the French, like many different classes like that. And he developed that concept to trying to show, first of all, that is why I disagree a lot with those, oh, there's a new member. Hi there. Again, back to the main topic here. We're talking about why did Ho Chi Minh do that? And I think that Americans right now, the USians living, they'll say you have a lot to learn from this. I'm not telling you exactly what to, I'm showing you an example and you can learn, a lesson that you can learn. So yeah, Vietnamese society at that time was separated into many classes, and each of them have a different level of exploitation, right? And Ho Chi Minh, in order to unite different classes of Vietnamese people, what he did was he and many other Vietnamese communists at that time, they wrote a lot and they gave speech and they talked to people. They talked to different Vietnamese people about the oppression and the misery of different Vietnamese people to try to raise the love between Vietnamese people, between different classes of Vietnamese people. They made that by showing the truth, by showing the oppression, by showing the misery that other Vietnamese people have to deal with. By that, they raise the love between Vietnamese people. They raise the empathy between Vietnamese people, different Vietnamese people. And we pointed out that we all Vietnamese, we are all living under colonialism. We are ruled by the French, colonialist French, and they are evil. And we need to liberate ourselves. You are not doing this just for yourself. You are doing this for the proletariat, for the peasants, for the slaves, people who are suffering out there. So that is why I disagree with class reductionists. Those people, they tell us to forget all about the other kind of oppression and just talk about class oppression, which is BS. Because the only way to unite different kinds of people is to make them understand the oppression, different kinds of oppressions, the different like living condition and the misery between groups of people, and only then by understanding and raising the empathy and the sympathy between the people, they can then unite to fight against the common enemy, which is capitalist class, which is fascism that rising in the USA right now. That is opposite to what those class reductionists believe. We unite Vietnamese people, we unite together by not forgetting about other people. We unite by understanding and sympathizing with different Vietnamese people. Now, that is how we united. Forgetting, like, how can you tell us to forget the racism that we're dealing with every day? How can you tell us to forget the sexism and the harassment that we're dealing every day? So we can unite with you to fight against like capitalism. Excuse me, oppression is our daily life. We cannot ignore that. And we only work with you if you acknowledge our oppression, you understand it, and you sympathize with us. It's like, yeah, it's different like that. And that is proletarian piety talking about. And in my very honest opinions, alienation is very strong in the USA right now. All right? People being separated from each other, being alienated from each other. And since they do not know and care about each other, they cannot unite. Impossible. What we do right now, what you must do right now is to make different groups of people understanding other people's oppressions, like to make like straight people, cis people to understand the oppression that queer people have been facing right now. Make them to understand why it is bad. Making them understand that why Texas and Florida are doing this and why this is bad. Make them understand that the oppression, the racism faced by Black people, the unfairness of the system, the court system in the USA, how like Black people are 5 times more higher chance of being evicted, of being like sent to jail than white people. Yeah, make them understand that. To sympathize with other people, to eliminate the alienation. That is why. That is when you can unite each other. I sadly work for the U.S. government, and I'm watching your video on the clock. Oops. I consider this to be an effective use of taxpayer dollars. I mean, okay, stay safe. But I am, I very much appreciate your, your support, and yeah, I mean, work within the system, in a sense. I'm sorry, that is a very bad comparison, but yeah, my bad. I mean, thank you so much for your support, and I mean, I thought about. I mean, yeah.
Are you going to talk about the topic of today's show?
Yeah, the topic of today's show. I mean,
you haven't even touched it yet.
You haven't even touched it yet. Yeah, so here's the thing. Main topic: why Vietnam invade Vietnam. I mean, this is a very common. This is a very common narrative going around Vietnam for a long time. Is that a lot of people ask me, why did North Vietnam invade the South Vietnam? Isn't that imperialism? And that is bad. It's like, what can I tell you? No, Vietnam did not invade Vietnam. And first of all, Vietnam did not invade Vietnam, so that is not imperialism. Second of all, the existence of the puppet regime in the South Vietnam were against our will. None, not the poor puppet government, yes. None of Vietnamese people voted for that puppet government to exist. Their whole entire existence was to be the puppet regime of the South of Vietnam, put up and backed by the USA and against the Vietnamese people's will. So here's the full story of it. So a lot of people still believe in the propaganda from the USA that the existence of the puppet regime in the South Vietnam was justified, and somehow they were democratic. And for the North Vietnam to invade South Vietnam with imperialism, like, excuse me, we don't. Again, Vietnam has been always one country, which is Vietnam. And the USA just put a puppet regime in the south of Vietnam against our own will as an excuse for them to invade Vietnam later. The whole entire Vietnam War is imperialism coming from the USA, and the USA invaded Vietnam. All right, and Vietnamese were fought against imperialism against the USA. The full story of the existence of that puppet regime that I think that every one of you here should know about, that is very much the same story with the Korean War. And the USA actually did want Vietnam to be exactly like Korea, separated into North and South. All right, story start from the late 1940s, when Vietnam gained our independence and became an independent country. The French came back and they tried to take Vietnam back and put Vietnam under colonialism once again, and they lost. They lost in 1954. The USA at that time, at first they backed France, but then they knew that France was about to lose. That was why they also prepared to invade Vietnam right around late 40s and early 50s. And the reason why they did that was because they won in the Korean War, and they got South Korea, and they wanted Vietnam to totally be like that because they want to fight against the USSR and China at that time, the communist bloc. And they from 1950, there was a guy named Ngô Đình Diệm. He was the prime minister that worked for the king of Vietnam in the 1940s. So he was a feudalist Mandarin who worked for the king. The prime minister worked for the king. After the king lost his throne, because we overthrown the royal family, we overthrown the king. So we put down on feudalism, right? That guy wanted to maintain power in his hand, but at the same time he hated the French because he was oppressed under the French. So he came to the USA. He went to the USA in 1950 and seek for the help from the US government. That guy was a hardcore Catholic. All right, he came to the USA and he met with the church in the USA, and he met with a bishop in the USA, and through that influence of that bishop, he met with the government of the USA. The USA government at that time had several different candidates for the dictator, for the puppet regime. So they planned it right from 1950. All right, they planned it. It's not like a sudden or later. It's right from the 50, they planned on it. And they had several candidates. And it took Ngô Đình Diệm 2 years to persuade the government of the USA to choose him as the leader of the puppet regime in the south of Vietnam. So around 1952 to 1954, we will prepare for the Geneva Agreement. And at that time, finally in 1954, the US and China and the USSR and many other countries had the Geneva Agreement. And they had a meeting there where they chose the 17th parallel as the temporary border between North and South Vietnam. This is against our will. Vietnam was not in that Geneva Agreement. China was negotiating on our behalf. There was no Vietnamese in that agreement, so it was against our will. But then the three big countries, China, USA, and the USSR, had an agreement about Vietnam, which is very unfair. I got to tell you, talking about our fucking faith of our nation without our existence. Three big countries talk about that. They chose 17th parallel to be the temporary border of North and South of Vietnam. And the USA, what the USA promised was that for now, for the matter of 2 years from 1954 to 1956, there would be a temporary puppet government in the south of Vietnam led by Ngô Đình Diệm. The whole point of the existence of that puppet regime was to wait for the official national election of Vietnam in 1956. All right, so that was why the Geneva meeting agreed with that temporarily 17th parallel border of Vietnam between North and South. That was why the North and the South of Vietnam existed. It was against our will. Remember that. So from 1954 to 1956, the puppet government was built in the south of Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, with the parallel 17 was the border, right? Now, from that year 1954 to 19 all the way 60s, the fascist dictator of Vietnam, Ngo Dinh Diep, he literally dragged the guillotine brought here by the colonialist French, one of the 4 guillotines we had at that time. He dragged that guillotine all over the South and executed every Vietnamese that he suspected to be communist without having actual trial. It's a bullshit trial, like just a guy read the crimes that person's supposed to make and then execute. Like that was it. Drag that guillotine over South Vietnam and chop the head of everyone that he suspected to be communist. And the number of the victims was so high that it's something somewhere from 2,000 up to 26,000 in a matter of from 1956 to 1959, matter of 3 or 4 years. From 2,000 to 26,000 of Vietnamese people were executed by that law. We call it like 1059 law in Vietnam. And also at the same time, because he was like strict Catholic, he wanted to turn Christianity to be the official, only one national religion of Vietnam, and he oppressed all other kinds of religion. And in Vietnam, you know, Buddhism was very strong and powerful in Vietnam, and he trying to, you know, torture, arrested, and murder a bunch of Buddhists in Vietnam. It was so bad that you can go Googling right now. There was a monk in Vietnam that burned himself in front of the embassy of the USA in Ho Chi Minh City. He burned himself, Thích Quảng Đức. He burned himself to show, you know, to gain attention from the whole world how this dictatorship is murdering and did not allow any freedom of religion in Vietnam. So much about the USA brag about freedom of religion. That's what they did to other religion. Freedom of religion to them means that the freedom for Christianity to do whatever the fuck they want. All right, they literally put a fascist dictator in the south of Vietnam against our will without any election, and lied to us that there would be an official election in 1956. But the fact is that election was never held whatsoever. No. The USA, you can go check it out. The government, the USA under the rule of Eisenhower, had an official document in the White House said that if Vietnam held an election right now in 1956, at least 80% of Vietnamese would vote for Ho Chi Minh. That was why they never dared to have an election in Vietnam. No, that election was never held. They just fake some election that said that 99% of people in the south of Vietnam voted for Ngo Dinh Diep. There is no evidence whatsoever that the election was held. It's just they faked that. And then there was a truth that the document under the Eisenhower in the White House said that if they actually, the USA and the puppet government held an election between Ngo Dinh Diep and Ho Chi Minh, at least 80% of Vietnamese would vote for Ho Chi Minh. That's why they faked that election. All right. And then after that, they, as I said, they dragged the guillotine and executed anybody who they suspect to be communist. So that was why Vietnamese people, we had to stand up and liberate ourselves, because we could not trust the USA at all. And at the same time, in the 60s, the USSR and China had their own Sino-Soviet split. That was why they could not, wait for anybody for help. So we had to do it ourselves. And also at the same time, those people who asked the question that why did Vietnam hate Vietnam? They didn't know that the vast majority of the army force in the National Liberation Front of Vietnam was South Vietnamese. Most of them were South Vietnamese. And again, to debunk The lies coming from anti-communist Vietnamese, who, especially the anti-reactionary Viet diaspora, who said like, oh, the South Vietnam loved the puppet regime and the life was great back then. Yeah, life was great back then for collaborators, for people who work directly for the puppet regime, because Vietnam also, again, Vietnam at that time, we just won against colonialism and fascism by the Japanese in 1945. We were extremely poor. We were exploited for hundreds of years, and 2 million, or 10% of our population died of starvation due to fascism and colonialism in 1945. That's how poor we were. So, of course, when the USA came with the puppet government, they brought us cheese, sausages, and ham, and gave it to a few thousand people who live in Ho Chi Minh City who were willing to work for them to kill our own people. Yeah, so they could have milk while the rest of Vietnamese people didn't even have anything to eat. And at the same time, we had to fight against a whole invasion of the USA, the puppet regime, against our will. All right? Only life of a few thousand people who live in Ho Chi Minh City were better under puppet regime. The vast majority of Vietnamese people in the south of Vietnam were miserable because of the attack, because of the mass rape, because of how corrupted the puppet regime in the south of Vietnam were. They took people's money, and they took the money from the government of Vietnam, and they turned it into gold, and they built mansions for themselves. The last president of the puppet regime in the south of Vietnam, Nguyễn Văn Thiệu, when he lost in 1975, and he flew outside the country, I mean, his airplane was full of gold and money. He flew it out of Vietnam and ran away. Yeah, this is how corrupted they were. It's so like, and also like that was like the lies came from, those reactionary Vietnamese. But like, oh, life was so great under the U.S. occupation. Now we were so poor. Like, yeah, great for who? And why do you have that greatness? Why? Who gave you that? And you should know that for the vast majority of Vietnamese living in South Vietnam, we were suffering from starvation and mass rape and torture and attack. And Agent Orange from the USA. As I said, yeah, talking about Agent Orange. Agent Orange is the chemical weapon the USA used against Vietnamese people. The point is to kill communists in Vietnam. And you know what? They claim to protect the South of Vietnam. They claim to be there for the democracy choice of Vietnamese of South Vietnam. But you can check the map. Agent Orange mostly drop in the center in the south of Vietnam. Go check the map. Google it. The map of Agent Orange of Vietnam and the bombing map of Vietnam. Most of the bombs and most of Agent Orange was sprayed in the south of Vietnam. Why did you say the puppet regime claimed to love the South and protect the South? And why did you say bomb and spray Agent Orange so much in South Vietnam? Oh, because as I said, the main force for the National Liberation Front of Vietnam is South Vietnamese people. Because we could not stand the oppression coming from the puppet regime, the fascist regime, and the USA anymore. That's why we rose up. And we fought against that. That was why they had to spray their own South, even though they claimed they love South so much. And again, at the same time, Agent Orange was a war crime committed by the USA. And to this day, the USA haven't officially acknowledged it yet. It is against the Geneva Convention about the war crimes. But the USA never officially acknowledged it. They never officially received any consequence from it. The US, the whole world, does act like it never happened. To this day, there are still 4 million victims of Agent Orange in Vietnam, Laos, and Cuba. Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Sorry, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. 4 million victims of Agent Orange. And every single year, there are still Vietnamese kids born with birth defects from the Agent Orange. Dioxin is the most poisonous toxin that humanity has ever found. Agent Orange, dioxin. the most poisonous substance that humanity has ever found about. So that is why it's so hard. That is why, again, when Vietnam won against the USA in 1975, and the USA had to leave, right? A lot of Vietnamese reactionaries blame the communists for like, oh, see, the USA left, so we are back being poor again. This is all the fault of communists. We were so much better under US occupation. These people, I don't know how to explain to you how frustrated and how disgusted I am about those people. All right, as I said before, Vietnam was so poor. Vietnam was suffering under colonialism and fascism. And then the US came and they brought their dollars and gave some of our people some ham and sausages and milk and cheese. But then they mass rape and torture the rest of the country and spray Agent Orange on at least more than a half of our country, mostly in the South. Napalm bombs and all kind of other stuff too. And after we kicked them out to save our own people in 1975, we went back to being poor because, we had to fight a war for 15 years without receiving any help. Receiving like actual we did receive help from the USSR and China in some small country, but that's it. The whole world just sit there and watch us fighting against the mightiest army on earth, was the USA, and we still win against them. All right. In 1975, the USA took that as an excuse, and they were still very sour about the loss in Vietnam. At the same time, they backed Pol Pot. I made a whole video about that. You can go and watch it. They backed Pol Pot to sabotage in the south of Vietnam, to the border of the south of Vietnam, and since Vietnam trying to fight against that to end the existence of the genocidal regime, the communists of Pol Pot, they took that as an excuse to sanction Vietnam. Great. So we had to fight against fascism, colonialism, imperialism, and then the genocidal regime of the communists, and then we were sanctioned comprehensively all the way in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. Awesome. Of course, we're fucking poor. Like, what do you expect? What do you fucking expect? And those Vietnamese communists, the Vietnamese anti-communists, they either do not understand that, or they lied through their teeth that it was this because of the communists that Vietnam was so poor. It was not communists that Vietnam was so poor. It was because of colonialism, fascism, imperialism. All right? And it was because we were just trying so hard to stay independent. But the USA didn't want us to do that, to be free. So they, came here. It's frustrating. Oh, Simply, thank you so much for the support. Wow, this is a big donation. Thank you so much. I was meaning to ask, on the first page of the book, there is an image that captioned "Great Victory for the People and Army of South Vietnam." I'm guessing it is relating to the South Vietnamese who are fighting for socialism. Yeah, exactly. I will show you it to you right now. This is to how, how actually it was the South, most of the, here. This is the picture. And it say quân dân miền Nam thắng lớn. The people and the army of South Vietnam will have a great victory. That is it, the black clothes, and that time we had, the guerrillas, and then the very famous the scarf, communist scarf, for the South of Vietnam, and then the army. Yeah, that is it. As I said, the main force of the National Liberation Front of Vietnam was Southerners. Millions of Southerners who live outside of Ho Chi Minh City in Saigon at that time. Yeah, and they fought against that. So it was totally lying coming from those anti-communists that said that, first of all, it is totally wrong that North Vietnam invaded South Vietnam. No, we did not invade ourselves. We were defending ourselves against a puppet regime backed by the USA, and we defend ourselves from the invasion coming from the USA. And also at the same time, another very wrong narrative running by those reactions is Like the Vietnam War was a civil war. No, it was never a civil war. Vietnam has been always won. And the USA just put a puppet regime there as an excuse for their invasion. The Vietnam War is the resistance war of Vietnamese against the imperialist USA. That is how we call that in Vietnamese. Kháng chiến chống đế quốc Mỹ. The resistance war against imperialist USA. There was never the invasion of North to South Vietnam. It was never a civil war between South and Nam. No. The puppet regime, Vietnam was separated against our will. Nobody voted for the puppet regime, and we joined together, North and South Vietnam, joined together to fight against US imperialism. That is the truth of the Vietnam War.
Tina.
Yes.
I'm doing these international orders, right?
Yes.
Why is every United Kingdom address sound so fake?
Like what?
Well, I'm not going to read someone's address.
No.
But they're like, all right, I'll make a fake one that sounds like what they are. It's like, every one of these UK addresses is like, Nigel Harrington, the Red Pony, Globbledy-Glim, Swarspliff. It's just like,
what do you expect?
It's like randomly generated Dungeons and Dragons addresses.
Exactly. I mean, what do you expect? They still have monarchy.
Well, I think it's funny.
It's funny. It is funny.
I don't dislike it. I just think it's funny.
It has a special characteristic.
Yeah, but they're just like, I don't know. They're hilarious.
It is. It's kind of.
They don't have normal addresses. Like half of them don't even have numbers.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
just like
right.
It's just like the stormworm button. Driesel's Bluth.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like they'll have a whole sentence as a town name. Like riding upon Yorkshire. How's that an address?
Well, it works over there, so I guess.
But that answers the question earlier about whether or not we've shipped to the UK. We have. Is that you?
Yes. What?
I don't know, the camera lens. It's weird. Anyway. What's up? I'm so hungry.
Me too, I'm so hungry too. Haha, we still have 15 minutes though. I never know whether anti-communists are liars or just absurdly ignorant. I mean, both. We never know though. We can never tell. It's just disingenuous. Family asks, I like your picture. I like your avatar picture. Family asks like, Uncle EJ, what's he talking about? I don't understand a thing. That's the whole point. Nobody understands the address in the UK.
Oh. Yeah, they're just weird addresses.
Weird address. British addresses. No, he was just say like British addresses. I like your avatar. This is a tag team in April 30th. Oh, by the way, it's coming very soon. April 30 is our reunification day.
And May 1st is May Day.
May 1st is May Day. It's my birthday. May 1st is my birthday. It's not it is an amazing coincidence that my birthday is May Day. So, yes, it is a big day in Vietnam. We call it like the Liberation Day or the reunification day, where the puppet regime in the South Vietnam officially surrender to the communists, and Vietnam were reunified into one country, and we were very happy. And also, this is a day It's a great unite day, great unity day. And so, okay, it is also the day that Vietnamese reactionaries hate the most. And that's what I love about it. Oh my gosh. Vietnamese reactionary, they hate this day. They hate this national holiday. So it was so big in Vietnam because of the reunify day, reunification day, and then also the May Day. That we had a whole national holiday for 5 days straight. People can just like go traveling, hang around with friends. 5 days straight, big holiday. And Vietnamese reactionaries hate this. They call like this is like the national ngày quốc hận, the national hatred day. That's what the unofficial name they call the day, the national like hatred day. That like they hate communism, and this is a day of like shame and the days of sadness for them, or something like that. They're like, yay, we celebrate this day. Panet Rosa, thank you so much for your super chat, but I also do not know this person or this group or something. I will note that down and I will learn about that and I'll get back to you later. I cannot talk about this because I do not know about this yet. But thank you so much for your super chat though. Elephant Man, British, exactly. Luna, you gotta work on your British accent. I need to work on my British accent, yes. I am very fascinated by the accent, which is very interesting. I try to learn. Like what? Oh, I can have a Cockney accent though. I can work on my Cockney accent. I think like, hey babe, teach me a Cockney accent again.
That's the only kind you know.
Hi.
What?
No. What? British. Gatna.
Yep. That's the only kind you've ever even come close to knowing. So
I'm close to comprehend it. I love Cockney accent. Even British food is odd. Yeah, they have like fish cake, right? It's the kind of cake that they use a whole fish.
What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, I think you're talking about, it's like a herring pie.
Herring pie or something like that. Very interesting. They have a beans on toast.
Luna, you don't get to make fun of UK food.
Here's the thing too. Oh, no, I find it very interesting. I love learning about new stuff,
I guess you do get to make fun of UK food now that I'm looking at pictures of herring pies. I take that back. That's a weird dish.
Tell ya. Like the triple sandwich, like they put
That's the toast sandwich.
The toast sandwich. They put a toast in between two toasts.
Stargazy pie is the really weird one.
The stargazy.
Stargazy pie.
Stargazy pie.
Now get this. Okay, so listen. This proves my point about British or UK. Sorry, UK addresses.
Yeah, I need
so
this cake.
Listen.
I will share this.
Stargazy pie is an iconic traditional recipe from the west of Cornwall around Mousehole. So there's a town called Mousehole in Cornwall where they make Stargazy pie.
Okay, that is Stargazy pie.
Did you look at it?
Yes, like
so
this.
Interesting.
It's interesting, yes. Okay. Salty pie, I guess. Where is fish over there? They cannot have a sweet fish in it, right?
It's a Mousehole.
Okay,
Don't
so I want to ask my audience. Has any one of you tried this cake yet? And is it good? Because I do want to try it. It's weird as heck, and I want to try it.
If you want to get some, we can go to Mousehole together.
Okay.
This person uses an assortment of sardines, mackerel, and herring. Wow.
I haven't tried it, but I would.
That's just an odd dish. dish.
I haven't tried or seen that one until now. But I mean, what the heck? The British colonized the world and took all the spices, and their food is still flavorless.
I don't know. I bet that stargazing pie has flavor. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if it's good flavor. Herring, mackerel, and sardines in one pie.
I live in Norfolk my whole life. Stargazing pie never reached us. Also, cannot stand to eat fish. Hell no, even if I got paid. Come on, if you got paid, I will eat this for $10. Come on.
I'd try it.
I try it. Yeah, I try it. Why not? I
I'm very
mean,
skeptical, but I would try
I am very skeptical too. Wait a minute, there's a blackbird pie.
That's just a nursery rhyme. That's not real, is it?
Blackbird.
Sing a song of sixpence.
Pie?
Right.
Oh my! No, I don't think this is real. I do not think this is real. This is like something like, yeah. No, I don't think. Is it? I don't think this is real. No. I hope not. No. I'm morbidly curious about that. Just come on. There's none people in 105 people watching. None of you ever tried this stargazing pie. I'm saying it in the Southern accent. Stargazing pie. I want key lime pie, man. Blueberry pie. Pecan pie. Pecan pie is good.
Are
What?
you trying to say pie with a Southern American accent?
Mm-hmm.
Pie.
Pie.
Did you have pecan pie over there?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. The key lime pie, also very awesome, but it's just very sweet.
You know, good Southern food is good in America.
I love key lime pie. Yes, me too.
Okay, here's the thing. I cannot tell you that this is a true story.
Mm,
All right. So I'm not saying that this is a true story,
mm,
but my first girlfriend
mm.
swore that her aunt invented key lime pie and that it's from the Florida Keys. That's why it's called key lime pie.
Oh. Oh. Well,
I have no proof of that, but that's what she said.
all right then. That's what she said.
That is what she said.
Mm. So who?
Who what?
Key lime pie is proof that God is real and they love us. Exactly. It's so good.
Maybe my first girlfriend's aunt was God.
Have any one of you tried pecan pie?
Stop it.
I can't go back. Too late. Pecan pie. Okay, Sipley, thank you so much. Do Vietnamese have something analogous to a Southern accent?
Yes.
Yes,
The Southern accent.
a Southern accent. Yes. Yes. So, for example, I am not good at it, but I can tell you something like basic differences. So, for example, in the North, we would say like, oh, what is that? So, like that means that it's like in the North they say like cái gì thế or cái gì vậy. That's in the Northern accent. Just say cái gì vậy means that what is that? And the Southern accent be like cái gì vậy? That is a Southern accent that I'm trying my best. I'm not perfect. So sorry if you're actually Vietnamese Southerner here. I apologize, but I just try to show the difference between the accent in the North and the South. I am from the center, so it is even more crazy. But then the North is cái gì vậy? What is that? And the South is cái gì vậy? That's what is that in the South. So like in the South of Vietnam, we just say like the Georgia South a lot. Like vậy, instead of say V, they say the dạ, vậy, cái gì vậy? So V is dạ. Pecan pie is too sweet. Every single pie is sweet. As far as I experience in USA, they're good though. I love pumpkin pie. I love carrot pie, apple pie, no strawberry, the blueberry pie. They all sweet. And key lime is the sweetest of all. The first time I tried key lime, it was so good, but I could only have 2 bites because it was so sweet. But then it's so good. What about pumpkin pie? I love pumpkin pie. Yes. Yeah, like accent in Central Vietnam is way different. Yes. Carrot pie? You don't know carrot pie? Come on, you must try
Carrot
carrot.
cake.
A carrot cake. I'm sorry. I mix up between cake and pie all the time because in Vietnam there's only one word bánh. There's only one word we call it in Vietnam bánh and carrot cake.
It's canceled.
Cancelled? I'm cancelled because I
Carrot
dare to
cake.
say carrot cake, carrot pie. Wait a minute. I know gingerbread. I know carrot cake. I do not know Victoria sponge, eclair cakes, Bakewell pudding. Interesting. I want to try them all. Wait a minute. Green tomato pie. Have you tried them?
We've had fried green tomatoes.
Fried green tomato, so good. Where can we find that here in Vietnam?
You have to just make it.
We don't have it. Oh my god! So
all it is just a tomato that doesn't turn.
I know. I mean the USA is so good at deep frying things. You have like deep fried pickles. You have deep fried tomato, green tomato. What else deep fried that I like too? Deep fried. Oh, onion rings. Yes, deep fried onions.
Deep fried onions.
Onion rings.
I know that's just a funny way to. Oh, these deep fried onions are delightful.
Which accent do they have in Ho Chi Minh City? I just Southern accent is the Ho Chi Minh accent. Ủa gì vậy? Ủa vậy hả?
Ho Chi Minh did not have the accent they have in Ho Chi Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh actually from the center of Vietnam, and his accent was a mixture of northern and central Vietnam. Tapioca couscous. Tapioca couscous. Couscous.
Are we really just Googling foods?
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not? That's my.
Oh,
tapioca couscous is good.
Have you had it before?
No, I just look at the pictures and it looks delicious. Come on, Kenny Chingoy, you fucking with me? Bánh xe. So it is true. Remember I told you? We have the kind of logic is like Annington.
No, don't get me started on this.
Annington. That shaped like a cake.
This is a troll.
It's a cake.
This whole thing's a troll.
It's bánh. So example, we call a wheel bánh. The counting word for a wheel.
Tire.
A tire is bánh xe. It's a tire cake. A tire pie or something.
It's a tire, right?
It's a tire.
The tire's the rubber part.
No, we call the whole entire wheel bánh.
Oh, really?
That
makes even less sense.
It's like a pizza. It's just like a pizza. We call a pizza pie. Bánh pizza.
Wow.
It's like a soap,
I refuse to believe
a piece of hand soap, also bánh xà phòng. Like entire wheel is bánh xe. What else? What else is ridiculous that we call bánh too? We call pizza a bánh. This is a cake or a pie.
Burger.
Bánh burger.
It's not a freaking
bánh. It's a
burger. Is not a freaking cake.
It's a cake. It's a pie.
You lost the script. You know?
It's
not a cake. It's a troll. It's all just a big troll.
Oh, Alex, thank you so much. Greeting from. I do not have no clue.
Spell it.
Clap junk upon
It sounds like a British place or a UK
Yes.
place.
Yes.
What is it?
You go Dorito highlighted.
Oh my gosh, I don't have the scheme up one.
Oh shit. You can come here and look at it.
Coming. Is it a UK place? Oh Jesus.
Gee, told ya.
That's fake. That's fake.
That's fake.
Clap junk upon slap Essex down. If that is fake, it's a really good fake. And if it's not fake, I'm speechless.
Sandwich is also bánh. Yes, bánh sandwich. Vietnamese.
Preposterous.
It's the joke. It's funny.
Poppycock. I googled clap junk and
Oh,
nothing.
John T. This is a very bold claim of you that you have. I make the best chili. I learned to cook at an early age since my mother could burn water and turn hamburgers into hockey pucks. I mean, yeah, I love chili, man. I want to
That's
try.
why you're good at cooking.
Hmm?
You said that's why you're good at cooking, because your mom sucks at it.
True.
So you have something in common with it.
We have the same exact history here, man. I learned how to cook when I was 10 because my mom was so bad at cooking that I couldn't bear it anymore. I fucking had to cook myself. So the first meal I cooked for the whole family was when I was 10. From a wood stove.
Lou makes a good chili though.
Chocolate chip cookies also bánh. Yes, bánh chocolate. Bánh quy sô cô la, bánh quy biscuit, we call it bánh quy sô cô la. Yes, it's a bánh. Yes. Bánh mì. Yes, the highest expression of sandwich. Yes, that's a bánh. Bánh mì is a bánh. Told you. Mì is just wheat. Is it literally? It means the wheat cake, and that's bánh mì, and that's the bread with fillings inside. So chocolate in Vietnamese is sô-cô-la. It's kind of cute, huh? Sô-cô-la. Chocolate. The US has towns with names like Horsecock or something like that. Well, I'm not saying anything. I'm not judging.
South Carolina has some of the funniest city names.
Oh, really? Like what?
Hold on, I'll tell you. I'll just read some. We have bizarre city names.
Oh, Star Fox. We miss you too. I haven't, streamed in so long. I mean, the state of Nebraska has a hooker county. Wow. Okay.
All right, so here's some South Carolina towns.
Oh.
Let's see. Hold on, let's see.
Right.
Wait a minute. Okay. There's
Going to need to map the dialectical relationship between what is bang in essence and what is bang in phenomena. That is your homework assignment right there. We want you to have a dialectical relationship map between bang in essence and bang in phenomena. Good luck with that. I am not be able to do that. No. The concept of bang in Vietnam is too crazy to us. And maybe you can come up with something better. We have a town in the north called Cockermouth. I've been to intercourse.
There's a town in South Carolina called Ketchup Town.
Ketchup. What, a 5-year-old named that? Or do they make ketchup? At least they have to make ketchup.
Ketchup
Come
Town,
on.
South Carolina.
Do they make ketchup over there? Come on, at least they have to make ketchup.
I don't know. It's a historic unincorporated community.
Ketchup Town, okay.
There's
I did visit a city called Bucksnort in Tennessee.
Bucksnort's pretty good.
Bucksnort. Oh my gosh. Kenna Chingo, come on. Are you saying the truth? Are you really saying the truth? This is the name of a bridge in Vietnam?
What? Don't say something that You're not sure you should say it.
Yes, I don't know. I'm asking. I'm Googling first.
Don't get trolled.
Oh my god, this is true.
What?
Ah!
What?
It is fucking real, man.
What?
So I will share you this. This is real. Okay, so this is real. That these are the names of bridges in Vietnam. Real. That people go and check into it, and it is named called like, um, like, um, cut the pussy. This is here. This is, yeah, means a cut the pussy, cut a bridge, and this is mean like cut the penis.
What?
I mean, yes, I mean.
What the fuck are you talking about, Lloyd?
That's the name. That's the name of actual real braces in Vietnam. It means cut pussy or cut penis.
I think you're done streaming.
I'm done
I think
streaming.
you're done.
This is it. This is my my end note.
Call it a day.
Call it a day. I think fucking have it too fucking much. I think that borrow from French. Yeah, lots of loan word like like chocolat, cafe, pate. Guidon, gabagoo, something like that.
Gabagool?
No, gabagoo or gabagoo. It's a French word for like.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Gabagoo.
What are you talking about?
It's like a part of bicycle. The gabagoo.
The Gabagool?
No, the gabagoo.
Like Tony Soprano? You got the Gabagool?
Even Vietnam is not immune to weird sex names for landmarks. True. What is a pate? It's pate. It's the liver kind of pate thing.
Not my favorite.
My favorite. I love pate, man. Whatever the English word we like. Hamburger. Also kind of a word. We could also call computer. Internet. So when Vietnamese people we speak English, we sound like robot because in our language we are tonal language, so kind of up and down, creaky tone, question mark, right? But when we say English, it's the toneless language. So internet, computer, hamburger, so something like that.
Oh, that was a tone.
Xúc xích, yeah, up, xúc xích. That is your sausage. We call it xúc xích. Is MOONCAST over? Yes, it is over. I'm done streaming. Yes. All right, everybody. I love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of your super chat, donation, and your kind words. Luna AIGBT confirmed. So, like to us, when we speak English, it's like robotic sound. All right. Bye, everybody. I'm going to have lunch right now. I'm very hungry because I didn't have any breakfast. Love you all. Thank you so much for your donation and super chats. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments. I will try or go back in the next Mooncast and I will try answer them all. But I hope that you had fun tonight. And yeah, bye, everybody.